What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are giving our thoughts and roundup of Clash in Paris and where do we think we are going next in the world of WWE. So, with that being said, Clash in Paris took place on Sunday night at a reasonable hour that we didn't have to stay up until the crack of dawn for. Long may that be a thing where we get half the shows that we want to watch in a year at a reasonable time. It'll go back to normal next month when we're at Wrestlepalooza, but there you go. But yeah, Clash in Paris happened. There was 6 matches, 5-6 matches on the card,
Yeah.
I think. Again, it was about a 3.5 hour show. Again, lots of thoughts for us to get through, and I'm sure we'll get to how I feel about certain things in a short moment. But before that, Bragster, take us through your sort of initial roundup and view on Clash of Paris on the show as a whole.
Clash of Paris was a pretty, how do I put this, an average show made good by the crowd. Like if it wasn't for the crowd, it would have been one of those pay-per-views that we probably won't be speaking about at the end of the year. There was a lot on the show to enjoy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything was out of this world, amazing, etc., etc. What we sort of had was we had kind of it bookended by the main storyline that's going on. The way they wrote off Roman Reigns was very clever, and actually made the Bonbons look really good, like very good as well. Like they for the probably the other than like obviously on Raws and whatever where they are attacking people but then they get run off. This was like the first time where they definitively like won. And to have that on a pay-per-view as well, like Jay even came down and they managed to beat up Jay and stop Jay from getting involved. And it was one of the first times where I sort of thought, okay, yeah, they're monsters. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they won more matches, but that's a different point entirely. But I thought it was a very, very, very good show, like a good show, very good opener. I loved the main event, really enjoyed the main event. Weirdly, the reveal of Becky didn't go down as well as I was expecting. You know, when the reveal happened, I was sat at home going, oh, it's Becky, it's Becky, it's Becky, it's Becky. And then like she revealed herself and I was like, oi! And then I could sort of hear the crowd not react the same way I was sort of reacting.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was, whether that was just because they sort of realized it was Becky from the low blow and sort of they were like, oh, okay, sure, type ordeal. I don't know. But there wasn't much of a reaction. There was more of a reaction on Raw to the whole Becky thing than there was at the pay-per-view. But I really enjoyed the 4-way match. I thought all 4 of them were brilliant. I thought it was another great showcase to someone like LA Knight, who I think actually shone in the ring.
Yep.
With 3 people that the WWE really have invested in. So, you know, I felt that was good. Obviously, LA Knight always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I thought the Donnybrook match was really good. Really enjoyed that. Just a lot of chaos. I thought it was a nice little showcase match. I would appreciate more showcase matches in the future, given the fact that Jade Cargill and Naomi had a really, really good one at Evolution. And then, at Evolution, they had a really, really good one. And then you've got the Donnybrook fight here. More showcase matches, more just we're having a feud, the crowd are hot on the feud, let's put it on a pay-per-view type ordeal.
Yeah.
Similar to what they did with the tag division. You know, the crowd was hotting up, let's put them on the pay-per-view. Rather than just being like, these are our set matches for the pay-per-view. If a crowd is really enjoying a feud, please put it on the pay-per-view. This was another example of that. Other than that, I thought the other matches were just good. The John Cena Logan Paul match was just an exhibition match, which I actually felt was what the crowd needed. After a very hard-hitting Donnybrook match, they needed something where it was just going to make them happy. And that was the Logan Paul John Cena match. I thought they served their purpose very, very well. Was it the best match ever? No. But did it entertain the crowd? Yes. And that's what was necessary at the time. And then, yeah, unfortunately, the Becky Lynch Nikki match just didn't click for me personally. And then the tag match, other than the entrance that nearly made me bawl my eyes out, that was kind of my whistle stop tour of every single match. But
yeah,
overall, I thought it was an average sort of show, made really good by the crowd.
Yeah, I agree with the crowd sentiment. I think again they were excellent as they always are when they come to Europe. Any sort of big shows they do, or even the TV shows they do, or the crowds are always excellent. And it continued into Monday Night Raw as well. Like Monday Night Raw, I think was excellently served by the crowd reacting and giving every star their due value and reaction. And there wasn't any sort of like deadpan moment where like someone walked out and there was just zero noise. So yeah, I think that obviously the crowd helped a lot. In terms of the overall card, I think if I was to give it a rating, I would say it's probably like a 7 out of 10 is my general sort of area. I think the crowd obviously helped a lot. I think my problem with the show is it felt a bit overly bloated in terms of times. I think the main example is like the Roman match and Braun, or Bronson, sorry, is I'm going to do that a lot over the years whilst them two are a pairing, I tell you now. Like when I looked at the time, because I watched it back on Netflix, when I looked at the time, I think it was like 50 minutes from the start of the show to them going into like the presentation package for the second match. Right. And I know WWE has this thing, especially at the bigger shows, where there is a lot of like filling in gaps and like there's a lot of like recaps or there's promotions or whatever. But I didn't feel like there was that much in there, and I felt like until we got to sort of that last part of that Roman match, it felt like it was going a little bit long in the tooth for me personally. I think it would have been better if, say, for example, you'd have had the match done in like 10-15 minutes and then you have the aftermath of it, and then it's kind of like, or you have, before you get to the end of the match, that's when Braun and Bronson come in, and then you've got the Jay trying to save Roman and doing all that stuff. Obviously that takes out the Heyman angle of it slightly, but I think that's just obviously the balance you have with it. And then it just felt like sort of in between matches, it was a little bit longer than I remember, or it felt being. It might just have been me watching it again, might felt a bit longer. I don't know, but yeah, I felt like it was a good set of matches overall. I think progressively as the show got on, it got better. I enjoyed the Bronson and Roman match, and it was kind of the next two of the tag match and the Becky and Nikki match where I kind of felt like it was a bit like, oh, okay, this is like, not so slowed down, but it's not like quite hitting the mark.
Yeah.
And then Sheamus and Rusev picked it back up again, and then from there I enjoyed the rest of the show really. But yeah, I think overall it was a 7 out of 10. There wasn't anything egregious on there that I can go one of the worst matches I've ever watched, or it was probably one of the worst ones we've seen for a while. It was nothing like that. I just feel like I feel like the balance of the card probably wasn't quite right. I feel like it would have been better if you maybe switched the Becky and the Cena match, or if you swapped the Becky and the Sheamus match. Just to give a bit more of that up and down sort of pacing to it, and slow things down a bit when you needed to. But overall, like you said about the main event, I thought the main event was great. I didn't have any real issues with it. I thought it was great. All four guys are fantastic, generally on their own anyway. So put them all in one ring, you expect good results. You know what I mean? And then I was like you when Becky came out. I was like, oh, okay, they're going full hog with this. Then they're gonna make them the heel couple, because normally you've had moments where you've had a lot of the moments where they're both sort of baby faces, and they've had the odd moment together. Like they had that that mixed tag team match, was it with Corbin and
Lacey Evans?
Lacey Evans, yeah, all those years ago. You've had those moments, and then you've had moments where maybe Becky's been a heel, but Seth's been a babyface, and they've not really interacted. But we've never really had that heel pairing of them together, and it's kind of something I've always wanted to see, because again, with how smarmy the pair of them can be
Yeah.
individually, the pair of them being like this power couple and sort of holding all the gold is, I think, an interesting dynamic that we don't really get to see that often in
Yeah.
WWE. So that is a very interesting aspect that I'm looking forward to seeing more of, especially, and we'll get onto it in a little bit after Monday Night Raw,
Hmm.
because that segment I think has really sold me on what could be coming next. Um, but yeah, I felt like overall the matches were good of a certain standard. I don't think there was any sort of like really bad matches, just maybe a couple of matches in there that just didn't quite hit the mark for me. But
Hmm.
yeah, overall I think that it was a good night, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the next month, because I think with it being the sort of first PLE Wrestlepalooza I'm talking about being on ESPN over in
Yeah.
America, I think there will be a lot of showcase matches, like you're saying, like the Sheamus and Rusev one, and maybe we might have a bit more to sort of the late September pay per view than we might normally
Yeah.
have per se. But yeah, I think Clash in Paris again. I hope we get another European show next year,
Hmm.
because I know we had Bash in Berlin last year, and then I think was it the UK, the one before that with
Money
Money
in
in
the
the Bank.
Bank. Yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't there a show in Scotland as well? I remember there being a show in Scotland.
Clash at the Castle was the year before.
Yeah. And I always remember that shot of Punk being the referee and Drew going, "What?" Like, yeah,
Yeah.
just loving that. So yeah, European shows are always a lot of fun, regardless of maybe what matches are put on there. I think, and like you say, the crowd does a lot of the, not necessarily a lot of lifting, but is a big part of the equation.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see obviously what happens in terms of shows next year in terms of Europe. But that being said, of course, the end of the show is kind of what's caused the most intrigue. It's fair to say,
Mm.
because not only did we have sort of the reveal of Becky teaming up officially with her hubby in crime, Seth, but then there was the shots afterwards of Punk walking back through the crowd and someone holding up the sign of "Bring back AJ Lee."
Hmm.
Now, I must admit, and again I have the messages backwards and forwards of you to prove that this was the case. But as soon as Becky appeared and attacked Punk, I was like, if there's ever a time for AJ Lee, it's got to be now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we did the Evolution predictions a while back, and I said I feel like AJ might appear there. And again, would have been a good time for her to appear, especially in the Battle
Yeah.
Royale, whatever. But obviously, didn't happen. But now, I feel like it's the perfect time, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it is. I think it feels right.
Mm.
This feels like the right time, and for first match back, being a mixed tag with two of the best wrestlers as opponents
Mm-hmm.
in the company, it just makes sense. You can hide a lot of the ring rust in that match because the crowd will only really want the best bits of your moveset,
Mm-hmm.
and you won't have to be able to work an amazing match, and then it could work through down the line into something.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a very good chance of. It's very much quite obvious that the Vision are probably going to be in War Games.
Yeah.
It would be reasonably cool if we maybe get a War Games match that has some mixed
Mm-hmm.
genders in it. And I think that could, again, if AJ comes back, you've got a mixed tag. You could then have her in War Games, and then you could have her at the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, all hide any ring rust, and it
Mm-hmm.
gives like all you have to do, all she has to be is at a basic level of wrestling again, and just remember how to work a crowd, which she can,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll be fine.
Yeah.
So you've got, and then from now until then, what you're looking at 4 months? Well, actually, yeah, 4 months really of 4 or 5 months of being able to then train at the performance center, get back into the AJ Lee that we all know for maybe a Mania match, and maybe that's the Becky Lynch singles match. We get Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee at WrestleMania. which could be really cool. I do believe that this is the right time for her to come. I also think that this also is sort of leaning on the fact that I do believe that it will be Roman and Seth at Mania, not Punk and Seth. I think they're doing the whole Punk and Seth thing now. Maybe that will be the Rumble match. And the only possible thing that can carry over is maybe the Becky AJ stuff, as I said, because we can prolong that just by having AJ only at the big matches.
Yeah.
But I think this feels right. I think this and I think they've hinted at it too much, where it can't not be her. And I don't mind the fact that it is, whether she turns up on SmackDown or not, because that's the rumor. I have a feeling she isn't. I have a feeling people are getting their hopes up. I think that's what the plan is. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think everyone's reading into it too much that she's going to turn up at SmackDown. I'm sorry, but if she's going to come back, she's just going to come back at Wrestlepalooza, and they're going to hold off on that massive entrance. Let's be honest here. That is what's going to happen. I just don't see them, wasting the entrance as if they can waste it. It's going to be a monstrous pop either way.
Yeah.
And Chicago would provide an unbelievable pop. So I wouldn't be mad, but I've just got a feeling that it's more going to be a hint of future things to come on SmackDown than it actually is going to be the debut or the return, should I say. But yeah, I think this is the right time. I think they've hinted at it too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll get into that segment now a little bit, because I think that kind of goes into my point of, and into your point as well, like the segment last night between Seth and Becky, not Seth and Becky, Punk and Becky, where Seth comes out and then walks away, and then Becky starts hitting Punk, and Punk's just like standing there taking it because he's not going to do anything back to her, even though the crowd is delightfully chanting GTS, which is another thing entirely. But and then Becky's like saying like you're not man enough, you're not going to do anything. Like, what are you going to do about it? And honestly, watching it, I got a little bit uncomfortable, because it's like they're going full hog on this, and that's fine. And then it's kind of like, and then it's when Punk gets the mic and he says, "I'm going to make Seth regret and cashing in on me, and you're going to regret ever putting your hands on me." And it's kind of like, you can't. That's the line that kind of just confirms it. And it's kind of like, if it doesn't happen now, then what? Where? I mean, the only person I think they would ever throw into that moment would be Ripley, because they've obviously, her and Punk have obviously had a on-screen sort of like friendship, partnership, whatever you want to call it. So that kind of would make sense if they haven't teased it.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, even as big as Rhea is, if they brought her out at Wrestlepalooza and they were expecting AJ, it'd be like a fart in a church, basically. It just wouldn't work.
No.
What I would like, and I was thinking about like how would you do it? And what's a stupid way for me to suggest they could do this introduction? But what if they did like a Hardy Boys introduction where Rhea comes out, and I was like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "You didn't think it was actually going to be me." And then AJ just comes out, and then Rhea disappears into the back. Like, they do something like that. But they could they obviously are probably just going to bring it back at Wrestlepalooza.
They could also do something really, really funny.
Yeah.
Which is based off of something that you kind of suggested before the recording.
Yeah.
Which is they could go full-blown Nexus versus WWE. Have Nikki Bella come out, and Punk's like, whoa, what? And she's like, "I'm coming out to help you." And it's like, no, I've got someone else. And then AJ's music hits.
Yeah.
Would be monstrous, because you'd have the disappointment to then the rise.
Yeah.
And I think I think Nikki Bella would be a really good choice, that she could be able to handle the boos that she would receive,
Yeah.
but then still get cheered the next night that she turns up.
Yeah.
Type thing, because it's like it'd be quite a comedically funny moment.
Yeah.
That sort of happens. And if you want to, you could go into a Nikki versus AJ Lee feud if you really wanted to off the back of that, because it's like, well, I was meant to help and all of this.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be really funny, is if you had Nikki Bella come out,
Yeah.
and then Punk's like, "What are you doing here?"
I think you could do something like that on Friday, to be honest. Like you could have a heel come out, maybe even, I don't know if you would use her music necessarily, but you just have someone come out, because that's what they did with Punk, didn't they, when he left back in the day?
Yeah.
They played his music, and then Heyman came out and said, "Oh no, he's still at home on his couch," you know.
Yeah.
But I they could do something like that, I think, on SmackDown, and maybe Becky comes out again.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you thought you were done with me, did you? Oh, well." But like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of things you can do, obviously, with AJ coming back. Obviously, this is something I didn't expect, and is all the better for it, because I think that feud in it just works so well on its own, without even writing a promo or looking at what they could do or looking at matches or anything. Just if you say to them, mixed tag match, CM Punk and AJ, Seth and Becky, you go, yeah. Absolutely, I'm 100% in for it.
Yeah.
But also then you think of the aftermath, like you're saying about War Games and stuff, about mixed gender. I would maybe tweak it a little bit and say you've got maybe the current crop generation of female wrestlers. So maybe your Rhea, your Tiffy, Bianca, and a couple of others, against like AJ, Nikki, maybe Trish comes back again for another one. Put Paige in there if she is going to come back.
Yeah.
And you have sort of I guess, the Diva era. I know Paige was kind of the end of that, and AJ was the end of that really properly. But sort of the Diva era taking on the current generation and having these sort of dream matchups. I think that's something that would be really interesting to see, and how that
would
could
be
work.
fun.
Yeah. But then of course there's all the feuds that she could do. You can have the solo feud with Becky. You can have all these feuds she didn't get to have because she left. Obviously Charlotte, Bayley, all these people, and the current crop now, like Bianca, Rhea, Io. Like Io and AJ in a match would just be phenomenal. Like it'd just be, you know,
Roxanne and AJ Lee. You know, like we already know the history that Roxanne and the likes of Roxanne and Corey Jade had with CM Punk and AJ. So to have Roxanne and AJ would be so much fun. Yeah.
And that's probably another person you could use in terms of if you wanted to do a sort of fake out to the crowd on SmackDown. You bring Roxanne out, and she's like, "Oh, we're buddies. I'm gonna help you." And he's like, "No, not you." Like, do that sort of thing. But there's just so many possibilities, and I hope, even if it was just one and done, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah. So
but like, if it's a case of she's gonna have maybe a last run, and she maybe does sort of the big events, like you say, like the War Games and the Rumble and maybe a run to Mania, that would be really cool, especially in the modern era where obviously a lot of people have a lot of flexibility with schedules right now, and you've got Roman and Cody going to film Street Fighter at the minute, and obviously they're talking about still want to do the wrestling whilst doing the filming, which has never really been said before. So it's like, it obviously feels like in the company right now there's a lot more flexibility, and there's a lot more leeway for people to do what they want to do, as well as obviously be in WWE. So why not bring her back now? And obviously she's happy enough to come back, because it always felt like, from whether it was her interviews or whether it was Punk in interviews himself talking about her, she's not going to come back unless she wants to do it. And again, you don't want to just force someone coming back, whether you've just paid them a large wad of money, or you've brought the husband back, so therefore we'll bring her back as well. But obviously he's more than happy where he is at the minute in WWE. He's done a house show circuit in the UK, so again, who would have thought that of CM Punk at this age and in this moment of his career where he's probably got 2 or 3 years left.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't necessarily need to do these house show circuits, but he loves what he does, and he's not going to do those shows unless he wants to do them. So obviously, don't expect that of AJ Lee or anything. But you know, seeing her in the wrestling ring again, even just side by side with Punk, after everything they've both been through to get to that point, is going to be insanely cool.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave it there because I don't really think there's much else to touch upon. I think, you know, WWE has this knack of, even when the shows may be in the middle lane rather than being tremendous or on the lower side of things, they still leave you with a tease or something. And of course, the AJ Lee stuff has been the main talking point of the entire show. So, we'll wait and see, obviously, what comes in the next few weeks. Because, again, Wrestlepalooza, I think, is around the 20th, if I've got the dates right. The 20th is the Saturday. So it's only a couple of weeks away. You know, like it's not
3 weeks. Yeah,
it's not far away at all. So yeah, wait, no, that's 2.5. Yeah, so yeah, basically for a couple of weeks on Saturday. That's when it is. I'm not gonna start arguing about maths and calendars here. That's not what the show's about. But yeah, I can't wait, and I'm very interested to see, even in other lanes, what's going to happen, like with the EO stuff and Asuka. Obviously, she's got him because the last video we talked about what happens with Naomi's title. We've got the answers to that, and yeah, we'll see what happens with Cody as well if he comes back and has a match or anything like that. And there's a bunch of other stuff going on as well. So yeah, lots to look forward to, and I'm sure we'll discuss it all here on this Wii YouTube channel. And as always, folks, if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a huge like on the video. It really does help us out a lot. And if you want to see more wrestling discussions with us, I would say interesting looking folks, that's what I'll go with, rather than insulting both of us, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I know. And we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.